And Disney decided to hire the most insufferable girl boss narcissist that exists on Earth, who hates Snow White.
It has proven to be Disney's worst investment ever in the history of Disney investments. I mean, they've gone through various scandals with this girl.
If I'm Bob Iger, you know what we're doing? Emergency meeting. We're putting Snow White on hold for 2 years, and guess what?
Smart.
Pay her a couple $1,000,000, go away. We're gonna bring another person to play this role.
But because she has this underlying anger and hatred in her that always has to take it like one step too far.
You know, other movie companies are going to look at her and they're going to say box office poison. And a lot of this is due to her behavior leading up to the film's release.
They're leaning in.
Or what?
They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash. I mean, you see with Disney now. I mean, Disney, one of the most gay-friendly companies.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
Disney's Snow White remake turned into one of the most controversial and disastrous projects in the company's history, marking a low point even by the tumultuous standards of modern Hollywood. What started as a hopeful fairy tale remake, designed to bring a fresh, progressive perspective to a timeless classic, quickly spiraled into an unrelenting storm of heightened arguments, behind-the-scenes drama, and public feuds that overshadowed the film itself. From canceled appearances to reshoots necessitated by palpable on-set tension, every step seemed plagued by missteps and bad press. The backlash wasn't limited to social media either. Industry insiders whispered about creative clashes, financial struggles, and even rumors of key figures involved soliciting support or funding amid the chaos. This wasn't just another troubled production. It became a cautionary tale about mismatched ideals, unchecked egos, and the volatile nature of big-budget filmmaking. Let's dive deeper into the chaos behind the scenes and uncover how such a promising project ended up in such disarray.
It's wrong and backwards, and it's not 1937, whatever. That was like her initial spree, and everyone was like, okay, do you want to be Snow White or do you hate Snow White? Do you want to destroy Snow White? Trump wins, and Rachel decides to go on really just a psychopathic, demented rant. Please?
For which movie?
No, I've been getting a lot of questions about, how do I feel?
The reality is she's just not stable.
I never wanted to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have.
So yeah, my agent would have punched me in the face if I was up there saying some stupid shit. What an investment.
Great. Okay? Great. I'm honored. I don't know why I sound so angry right now. I'm honored.
With Snow White, let's go through this, right? There's no prince. Woman doesn't need a prince.
Oh, Lord.
Really? Okay, good luck back then. He doesn't need a prince to save her, and not surrounded by 7 weird people. Oh, okay, just CGI fictional goblins, I guess.
And I get it, there's a difference between spoiling and whatever, but to go out and badmouth everybody and talk smack about, older movies in the same franchise, the canon story, I guess?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I feel like they would have had better control over that.
That said, our primary purpose is to entertain, and where we can entertain responsibly, obviously we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world, but the first thing we need to do is entertain.
When Rachel Zegler was announced as the lead in Disney's live-action Snow White, it sparked a wave of excitement that rippled through both the entertainment industry and fan communities. Fans and insiders alike were thrilled by the prospect of a rising talent like Zegler stepping into such an iconic role, bringing a modern sensibility to a historically significant Disney property. Known for her breakout performance in West Side Story, Zegler represented not only fresh energy, but also a chance to honor the legacy of the 1937 original while appealing to contemporary audiences. Paired with Gal Gadot, an actress celebrated for her portrayals of strong, complex female characters, the casting seemed to promise a perfect on-screen dynamic. The combination of Zegler's youthful charm and Gadot's commanding presence fueled sky-high expectations, leaving many hopeful that this adaptation would breathe new life into the timeless tale while maintaining its fairy tale magic. Industry insiders even speculated that this could mark a defining moment in Disney's long tradition of reimagining its animated classics for a new generation. However, beneath the surface of this initial optimism, subtle hints of tension began to emerge, hinting at challenges that no one could have anticipated at the time.
Jonah Platt, whose father helped produce the latest Snow White film, had some very harsh words for star Rachel Zegler.
For context, Variety wrote a report recently titled Inside Disney's Snow White Fiasco, Death Threats, Beefed Up Security, and a Social Media Guru for Rachel Zegler.
And then they couldn't put dwarfs because this is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
So even though woke in some sense feels like it's dead, it still has to run its course through the system. The ghosts have to get out of the machine in essence.
This girl took the money and then decided that she wanted to go out there and, you know what, I'm gonna take my stand. Well, you should have made that stand before you took the money to promote a film, because that's not in line with your job description.
Right, I think this is their policies coming back to bite them. They went woke.
Yeah.
She went out and said stuff woke that was gonna hurt the film. They couldn't come out and go against her, because then you're going after somebody for saying what you say you believe. But at the same time, like, I think going forward, they're gonna be like, hey, shut up.
Yeah.
Tight-lipped. Otherwise, guess what? We're clawing back some money.
Yeah. This would have been a lot better if they, had a strong male along with her, a prince, if it wasn't about socialism.
But as filming progressed, subtle signs of tension began to surface, creating an undercurrent of unease that rippled through the production. Early buzz hinted at quiet tensions, averted glances during pivotal scenes, cool silences in between takes, and disagreements about creative direction that occasionally disrupted the flow of work on set. Multiple accounts suggested that these differences didn't remain minor for long. They grew more intense over time, escalating into something far more problematic. What started as small frictions, perhaps a difference in acting styles or conflicting interpretations of key moments, began to snowball into larger clashes, affecting not just their dynamic, but also the overall atmosphere of the shoot. The once hopeful energy surrounding the project slowly gave way to palpable discomfort, with crew members exchanging nervous looks and whispered concerns about whether the two leads could reconcile their opposing visions. These mounting tensions placed the entire film in jeopardy, threatening not only its artistic integrity, but also its ability to meet deadlines. As reshoots loomed and costs mounted, insiders wondered if the production would ever recover from what seemed like irreconcilable differences. Rachel Zegler's vision for the movie as a moral or educational experience created a significant divide among Disney fans, many of whom had hoped for a nostalgic revisit of a cherished story. These audiences walked into theaters expecting a whimsical retelling of Snow White, complete with the enchanting charm and lighthearted magic they associated with Disney fairy tales. Instead, they were confronted with thought-provoking commentary that challenged traditional themes and sought to modernize the narrative in ways that didn't align with their expectations. For some viewers, this shift felt jarring, as though the essence of what made Snow White timeless was being replaced by an agenda-driven reinterpretation. Meanwhile, Gal Gadot's well-known global stances on social and political issues further fueled strong reactions from both her supporters and detractors. Her involvement brought an additional layer of controversy to the project, one that polarized potential viewers even before the film's release. As these differing perspectives collided, Zegler's progressive ideals, Gal Gadot's activism, and the more conservative nostalgia of certain fanbases, the atmosphere surrounding the production grew increasingly uneasy and combative. This clash of ideologies not only affected how people perceived the film, but also set the stage for heated debates about the role of art, entertainment, and messaging in modern cinema. The tension spilled over into promotional events, interviews, and online discussions, making it nearly impossible for audiences to separate the film itself from the real-life drama unfolding behind the scenes. The animosity between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot reached new heights when rumors began to circulate that Zegler had deliberately avoided attending a high-profile ceremony specifically organized to honor Gal Gadot. This event was intended to celebrate Gal Gadot's humanitarian work and contributions to various global causes, making Zegler's conspicuous absence even more glaring. Her decision not to attend was quickly interpreted by many as a direct affront to Gal Gadot, further fueling the already simmering tension between the two. To some, Zegler's choice appeared to be a bold statement of principle, reflecting her discomfort with certain political themes being highlighted during the ceremony. Others, however, viewed it as a catastrophic misstep in public relations, one that only deepened the divide and intensified the feud. The backlash was swift and severe, with critics and fans alike dissecting her actions. Some saw her absence as a deliberate snub that crystallized the animosity between them, while others speculated about ulterior motives or unresolved personal conflicts. Regardless of her reasons, the incident became a pivotal moment in the ongoing drama, overshadowing any hope of reconciliation and drawing even more attention to their strained relationship. This event not only solidified the perception of discord but also shifted the narrative surrounding the film itself. Instead of focusing on the creative and artistic merits of the project, media coverage and audience discussions fixated on the interpersonal conflict. The backlash spilled over into social media, where debates raged about whether Zegler's decision was justified or unnecessarily provocative. Meanwhile, insiders revealed that Disney executives had hoped this ceremony would serve as an opportunity for the two stars to present a united front, offering a chance to silence the growing speculation about their hostility. However, Zegler's absence only reinforced the notion that the rift between them was irreparable, leaving fans and industry observers wondering how such a fundamental disconnect could impact the future of the film and both actresses' careers. Behind-the-scenes drama unavoidably shaped the film's public image, creating an atmosphere of tension that permeated every aspect of production. Eyewitnesses reported frequent abrupt halts in filming as hostilities between the two leads surfaced with increasing regularity. On at least one occasion, Rachel Zegler reportedly stormed off set following a biting remark from Gal Gadot, leaving the crew scrambling to adjust the day's schedule. Production was brought to a standstill for hours as Zegler refused to return until tempers had cooled, further delaying an already strained timeline. These incidents weren't isolated. Accounts from behind the scenes suggest that such disruptions became almost routine, forcing Disney to invest heavily in costly reshoots to salvage key scenes. Editors were left with the daunting task of stitching together coherent sequences from fragmented takes, often having to creatively mask the palpable lack of chemistry between the two actresses. The constant friction not only drove up production costs, but also began to erode morale among the cast and crew, many of whom had initially been excited to work on what was supposed to be a groundbreaking adaptation. As rumors of these altercations leaked to the press, the public's perception of the film shifted from anticipation to skepticism, with audiences growing more curious about the interpersonal drama than the story itself. This behind-the-scenes turmoil inevitably seeped into the final product, making it nearly impossible for the film to escape the shadow of its troubled production. As negative buzz continued to swirl, Disney found itself forced to revisit its entire promotional strategy for the film. What had initially been marketed as an inclusive, progressive retelling of a beloved classic began to take a backseat as behind-the-scenes conflict spilled into the public eye. Fans combed through every snippet of released footage, not for glimpses of the updated fairy tale world or the modernized themes, but to spot subtle signs of hostility between the leads. The mounting tension cast a shadow over even the most carefully crafted trailers and promotional materials, which now felt overshadowed by real-life drama rather than celebrated for their artistic ambition. Adding to the growing list of problems, several high-profile press events were abruptly canceled, while other promotional appearances were scaled down to solo interviews, a clear attempt to avoid further incidents. However, this only heightened the sense of unease, leaving audiences more focused on the personal feud between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot than on the creative merits of the project itself. With each canceled appearance or awkwardly conducted interview, the narrative shifted further away from Snow White's reimagined story and closer to the interpersonal chaos that had come to define its production. Amidst the mounting controversy surrounding Disney's Snow White remake, rumors began to swirl that Rachel Zegler might be facing significant financial difficulties. Insiders whispered that she was actively reaching out to influential contacts in the industry, allegedly soliciting funds or attempting to lock in new deals to stabilize her career trajectory. These whispers grew louder as speculation intensified about the potential fallout from the film's poor reception and its impact on her future prospects. Some even claimed that her team had approached multiple streaming services and production houses, hoping to secure promising roles or financial commitments before the full weight of the movie's failure could take hold. This episode served as a stark reminder of just how vulnerable actors are in Hollywood, where careers can rise and fall with alarming speed. One day you're being heralded as a breakout star with limitless potential, and the next, a single misjudgment, controversial statement, or unfortunate rumor can send your career spiraling downward. For Zegler, once celebrated for her early breakthroughs and seen as a fresh, exciting talent, this period marked a precarious juncture. The uncertainty surrounding her financial situation only amplified the narrative of instability, leaving observers to wonder whether her outspoken positions and public clashes had contributed to her predicament. In an industry already rife with volatility, young artists like Zegler often find themselves walking a tightrope, trying to balance creative integrity and personal convictions with the demands of an unforgiving system that rarely tolerates dissent or disruption without consequence. In the end, what could have been a magical reimagining of a beloved fairy tale became almost entirely overshadowed by interpersonal drama that spilled over from behind the scenes into the public eye. Despite the film boasting grand visuals, an updated perspective, and a talented cast, critics and audiences alike found themselves unable to separate the art from the real-life soap opera unfolding in front of them. The tension between Rachel Zegler and her co-star Gal Gadot had become so deeply ingrained in the narrative surrounding the movie that even its most dazzling moments were overshadowed by whispers of on-set clashes, canceled appearances, and mounting resentment. Disney, recognizing the writing on the wall, braced itself for significant financial losses, quickly shifting strategies to mitigate the damage by moving the film to digital platforms much earlier than anticipated. For Rachel Zegler, who had hoped to use the project as a platform to highlight the film's revised morality and progressive themes, her efforts were completely drowned out by swirling insinuations about her rumored financial anxieties and whispers of her alleged attempts to secure funding or new deals amid fears of Snow White's underwhelming performance at the box office. These rumors only further fueled the growing narrative of instability around her career, overshadowing any artistic intent she brought to the role. In Hollywood, where careers can rise and fall with alarming speed based solely on the whims of public opinion, the Snow White fiasco stands as a cautionary tale, one that highlights how fragile even the brightest stars can be when faced with controversy, mismatched ideals, and the relentless scrutiny of modern media. It serves as a stark reminder that no amount of talent or vision can fully shield an artist from the unpredictable forces of perception, timing, and industry politics.